Hello viewers, welcome back to Super Sociology class. My name is Richmond Asiedu, the current Social Vice President in the University of Ghana, and this video is all about sociological perspective. So I just wanted to just sit down, relax, take some book and pen or any other notepad that you're having and jot down some point because it's going to be very effective and interesting. Thank you. Please, if you've not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe to my channel, like, share, comment, and also tell me what to do more, the topics that you want me to discuss about it and bring out more video about it. Thank you very much. Now, let's start going. Okay, today we are going to talk about sociological perspective. But before I start, I just want to split this point into two. That is sociology and the perspective. So sociological and the perspective. And then sociological is the same as sociology. So the perspective in a sociological manner is the same thing. Now, let's go on. So perspective in general sense in everyday life is all about how we view things, how we view things in the society, how we see events, how we break down events, how we report an event, and then how basically we analyze things in the society. When we talk about sociological perspective, it is how social scientists, that is the key point, how social scientists view the society in which we live in, or how sociologists view the society that we live in. There are many ways by which sociologists view the society. I mean, there are many ways, and then there are many perspectives. But in this video, I'm going to talk about three solid perspectives that mostly it is being studied across the world. That is the functionalism perspective, conflict perspective, and symbolic interactionism. Actually, I like the symbolic interactionism because it is the basis of all the perspective. Although we are having other perspectives like the feminist, like the new Marxism, and then all others. But today, I'll focus on these three basic perspectives. Let's move on to the functionalism perspective. The functionalism perspective is based on the idea or on the work on Auguste Comte, the founding father of sociology, Emil Durkheim, the founding father of functionalism, and Herbert Spencer, the man that is always comparing living organism to the society. That is more interesting. Actually, functionalism was associated with the work of Talcott Parsons and Robert Mentor. They wrote mostly on it, and then they gave it a modern name, which is called structural functionalism. So with the functionalism perspective, their argument is that the living organism, which has parts and interrelates and interconnects for proper surviving and functioning of the living organism, can be compared to society, which also has parts, and then it is working together for good. And these parts are the social institutions, as we all know. So the social institutions are what we call the premier, the political institution, the religious institution, economic institution, the marriage or family institution, the educational institution, and the health institution. These are the major social institutions that we are having across the world. And bear in mind, all the social institutions came to satisfy a basic need. One major argument of the functionalism perspective is that they believe that all the institutions perform a vital function and that there's no negativity out of it. Every institution performs a vital function. They are all positive. So they don't see any conflict or misunderstanding in the social institutions. They believe that all the institutions work together for good. Even when there is crime, it is positive aspect. Even when there is high corruption, it is positive. That is their view and then their knowledge about the society. They see everything to be functional and everything to have a vital function. Now, they also say that for every society to survive, the society must satisfy some basic needs. Without satisfying it, the society will collapse and fall. That is what they term as functional requisite. Example, they mean that for maybe Ghana to survive, or for any country across the world to survive, the country must satisfy the basic needs of the people, of the citizen in the society. Otherwise, there will be chaos. This is the exact thing that happened in France that caused the French political revolution, because the basic needs, some basic needs like the political freedom and then also the economic freedom were being suppressed. And then this was what caused the revolution in France. And then indeed, as the functionalists are saying, the society will collapse. Indeed, it collapsed, but it's built back by itself. That is what the functionalists call moving state of equilibrium. Functionalists call social change as a moving state of equilibrium. They mean that the society is always in the equilibrium state, but when the society goes in disequilibrium, it will find a way to bring back equilibrium. That is what we call moving state of equilibrium. And also, one of the main components of functionalism is the manifest function and the latent function. They believe that everything that happens in the society can be classified under manifest, latent, or dysfunctional. But I would like to talk about the manifest and the latent function. The manifest function is the intended consequences, the obvious consequences, which means that it is the consequences that each and every individual knows that it will come out when they involve themselves in this activity. So for example, going to church, the manifest function, according to the functionalism perspective, is that they are going to worship God. That is the intended consequence. That is the intended mindset. That is, we are going to worship God. The manifest function of we coming to school is to acquire more knowledge and then also be able to produce and then transmit knowledge to the younger ones. That is the manifest function. But the latent function is the hidden, the unintended consequences that occurs. The latent function of we going to church is that we end up making friends in church. That wasn't the initial idea of we going to church, but we end up making friends in the church, and then also we end up attending ceremonies upon ceremonies in the church, wedding ceremonies and then naming ceremony. And when a member is dead, they all organize something and go to the funeral of that particular member. That is the latent function. When we talk about education, the latent function is that we end up making friends for life, and then we end up attending programs and then joining some associations that we were not even having it in mind to join. The conflict perspective is based on the writings of Karl Marx, and then this has had an influence across the world, especially in the economic institution. Yes, of course, the conflict perspective, the scholars in there believe that there are social institutions that are interrelated, and then they are interconnected, and then work together for the society to survive. But they argue that there is class differences and class interest, or there is a clash of interest among the people which are found in this institution, which is making the institution observe something called inequality. They believe that there's always conflict among people in the various social institutions. When you pick the economic institution, that was their major focus, especially Karl Marx. He says that the bourgeoisie, or the rich, or the have, exploit the proletariat or the poor, and this brings about class differences. They also argue that even in the family, there is inequality over there. The men are seen to be the breadwinners, the head of the house, and the women are seen to be the weaker vessel, the inferior people who must be submissive. And then this goes on and goes on across all the social institutions that we are having. So according to the conflict perspective, there is conflict in all the institutions. Whilst the functionalists are saying that there is no conflict, everything is working together for good. But the conflict perspective are saying that no, there are some things that are not working together for good, because everybody have his or or her own interests. And then these different types of interests and desires that we are having as individuals is what is bringing conflict in the society. They argue that conflict is inevitable. Every society is being involved in conflict, but conflict doesn't necessarily lead to violence. Sometimes conflict can bring a positive change in the society. Example, when we pick the French political revolution, it brought about democracy, and then this was very good because it made the views of the people very interesting to their representative, so that things will be stable in the society that they are living in. So not all conflicts lead to violence, but some conflicts bring a lot of positive things. So that is all about the conflict theory. An example also, the conflict perspective will argue that when a minister or when the bourgeoisie is in traffic, he doesn't mind. When the traffic is red, he can pass by and go with his vehicle. And then when you, the poor person, you follow that same step, and they take you before the law, the bourgeoisie can find its way out because he is having the money. But you, the poor person, because you don't have the money, you will be penalized and then you'll be punished. And then even they will find you to pay certain amount of money. And then this is all conflict or difference of interest that occurs in the society, whereby some people are being viewed superior and others are being viewed inferior. And the next topic is symbolic interactionism. Symbolic interactionism is the reason why I am here making a video to the whole world, because I am interacting. So symbolic interaction, their main argument is that all the macro social institutions, such as the functionalism perspective, the conflict perspective, all the macro social institutions, their basis is based on interaction, because all the institutions have a group of people that interact with each other, and then interacting falls under symbolic interaction. They say that the beginning of becoming a social human or a becoming human being is through interaction. So their argument is based on that it is through interaction that we gain life as social human beings. So without interacting with other people in the society, you will end up becoming like Anna and Isabella, whereby they were eating like animals and then behaving like animals. They didn't have any language that they can even speak for we humans to understand them perfectly. So symbolic interaction is based on the idea of mass verba, that is vesting, putting yourself in someone's shoe. So whenever that a researcher is trying to undertake a research or make an investigation, the researcher must practice vesting and put himself in the other person's shoe, and then put himself in the situation the person is in, and practice value-free research. So when we talk about symbolic interaction, they believe that interaction started with symbols, and symbols which deals with gestures, signs, and then other forms of non-verbal communication. So these symbols, they are being used as an interactive symbols or signs based on the meaning that the individual in that particular society give to it. Example, when you go to India, when you do like this, something like this, yeah, it means that yes. But when you come to Ghana, when you do like this, it is no. When you do like this, nodding your head, it is yes. So based on the society that you found yourself, it's where you will give interpretation to the symbols and the gestures that you are having. So think about some symbols and gestures that when you make, it sounds different in other society. Those are all forms of interaction that falls under symbolic interactionism. And under symbolic interactionism, we are having the dramaturgical approach. The dramaturgical approach was adopted by Evan Goffman. And then this approach just talk about impression management. It is basically about how people express themselves outside their homes or in the society to leave good impression for the people in the society. So the dramaturgical approach deals with or argues that a life of every individual or people in the society, the life of people in the society is like a theater. And when we get to a theater, we are having the front stage and the backstage. The front stage is where the actual performance is being done, whereby they try as much as possible not to make any mistake. The front stage is whereby the actors try to get good feedback from the audience. But the backstage is whereby all the mistakes are being done and then all the rehearsals are being done and then it's being corrected. So according to Evan Goffman, the dramaturgical approach, he believes that every human being is like that. When we all move out, we try to portray ourselves in a manner that we will leave good impression in the society. But when we come back to our various home, we are different. So this approach is basically saying that all humans pretend. And indeed, I can agree upon it that all humans pretend. Because the moment you move out, you pretend to become a good person that everybody must see you to be. But when you are indoors, you do whatever that you like. Example, like you being a religious person, when you are outside, you portray a very good religious, moral act. But when nobody's watching you, you portray a very good and perfect religious, immoral act. Another example, when you go out with your boss or anyone to a restaurant, the way you will eat will be different from when you get your food and then you are alone in the house. You will remove your dress somewhere, and especially if you're a lady and then you are wearing a rig, you will just remove it and put it down and then start eating your food anyhow and then however that you like. But when you move outside, you try to give a very good impression. This is all about the dramaturgical approach. So these are the three basic sociological perspectives, which is the functionalism perspective, the conflict perspective, and the symbolic interactionism.